the trick to this is to not think too much about painting. Just think about being back in kindergarten again and just sort of scribble and paint and leave areas that are unpainted. I think the first mistake people make is that they think they should run a wash across the whole painting. And in this case, you can see I'm just focusing my clicks of my mouse in the areas that I want to set down as sort of a base color. And this brush and the Wacom tablet combination, I don't know, if I were watching myself right now, I would be applauding myself, because even this color pattern that I'm picking up is so beautiful and looks like watercolor in this process. Okay, now I'm getting so excited about my own presentation. And you'll notice if you start to analyze the secrets here in the pattern here at the top, even though I told you not to touch this over here, check this out. There's 2 layers of patterns working to make this look like a watercolor painting. One patterned filled layer is set to overlay, and the second pattern is set to multiply. It's an amazing little secret. If you put those 2 patterns together in one folder and set to pass through, and then it passes over your painting, it gives you this amazing quality, as if the water is beading up inside of that paper. Okay, there, I'm getting overly enthusiastic about this capability. And look what I did. I clicked away from my painting, and I may have screwed things up, because I told you to never touch anything over there. So now we've got step number 1, our washes. Notice that a second layer has appeared over here to the right. Everything builds up in layers. A new brush has been given to you. A new size of the brush has been given to you, because you're now going in and putting in more detail. So I'm going to go ahead and shut up and start painting. So you have a smaller brush with a little bit more opacity on a second layer, and the second layer is being multiplied, if you glance over to the right, into the first layer. And that's what really makes this start to add these layers together as you blend them. Now I'm going to put some focus here on the leaf, and I also find that the first painting I do, I usually throw away. And let's see if I throw this one away by the end. But you're starting to see some of the details come in, and that's one of the, you want the painting to sort of to appear, you know, automatically and just and stunningly be just come out from nothing. But Wes, do you know what? It actually takes time and talent to get a fine painting, which is, you know, talent with a Wacom tablet. But okay, for an idiot, this is working pretty well. So let's add some subtle watercolor detail. Let's go in. Notice now here at the top, the impressionist has been turned off. I have a new layer. And now what it's doing, it's going in and allowing me to put in paint with more detail. And where's it getting the detail from? It's getting the detail from the original image contained here at the bottom. You notice the original is still there at the bottom. I'm going to increase the size of my brush with my closed bracket. I actually like to go in with a larger brush and start to paint. Now notice as I scribble here, I'm click, 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 I'm painting. More and more of the detail of the original image starts to come back, and I deliberately have the opacity set here to 25% because you don't want to bring back the detail too quickly. You want to slowly bring it back so the quality of the watercolor remains. I also like this stage in the process because sometimes I'll just run simple washes around the edges as you see here. And you know, it's very zen in that you're sitting here. It's like you're scrubbing. It's like sculpting. Maybe you sit here and you scrub things away. And in this process, I'm also thinking about shadows in this add stronger watercolor. I'm focusing in on the shadows and bringing those out and doing much more work in that area in this process. And let's go over here and add a bit more detail to those leaves, and some detail here to the center. But I always like, when I look at a watercolor painting, I like the fact that there's a central focus to it and then it fades off on the edges. Now, Wes, this isn't my best painting, but let's zoom back out and look at that. I think it's pretty amazing for a novice like myself to have something that looks quite a bit like a painting, and with all this detail. Let's go ahead and add stronger watercolor detail. So we're getting closer and closer to building this up yet with another layer. So this is our strongest brush with the most detail and the greatest saturation of color. So I'm going to go in and put in details here, add the stem back in, get some more detail happening here in this leaf. So this is the step where you're going to put in the details or the edge qualities to really define what your shapes are. And here's the second one. We may want to put a little detail over there. Gosh, I think I do much better when I don't know that there's at least 100 people watching me act like a fool here. Okay, oh Wes, it's starting to take shape. It's starting to take shape. I'm okay. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with myself. Okay, Wes, say something. Are you impressed, Wes?
I'm thoroughly impressed.
No, you're reading your email. Wes, I know you're reading your email.
Now, I was responding to a couple of people. Actually, I do have a couple of questions since
Yeah.
we do have a little break here. For one, can I ask you just to speak up just a little bit?
Oh,
That wasn't,
good grief.
and that wasn't
I
really
noticed
my
that
actual question.
your volume has dropped substantially.
I tried. It was coming in a little hot.
Okay, and now if I'm speaking directly into my microphone now, is that much better?
That
Let's
is
wait
much better.
You know, I was probably drifting away slowly from the microphone, thinking, boy, that stupid thing's in my face. I don't want that in my face.
Well, of course, it's the Zen process.
Yeah, it is. Now,
So I do have a real question, though.
yes.
So one gentleman asked if the colors that are being applied right now were pre-assigned for this particular demo, and I just want to make sure that I responded correctly. It's simply bringing the colors in from the original image, the background image, correct?
Yeah. So the trick here is, here's my original image, Wes, sitting down here. And this is it's a clone painting process. And so because I'm leaving the original image here within the layered process, and I may be sampling all layers, or in this case, I'm using a pattern that we created earlier, it's pulling the colors directly from the original source. I'm also doing a little bit of enhancement to those colors. Do you see these adjustment layers that are placed into position? These adjustment layers are boosting the colors as well. So I do recommend starting with a fairly bright image if you want a nice bright painting, or dull images if you want a dull painting. But the answer is that um, this is easy bake oven painting. The colors are given to you as you move over the corresponding location on the apple. I think that's the right answer.
Yes, all right, and one other question, and
Yes,
I think I heard this correctly, but correct me if I'm wrong. You said when you install the script,
yes,
the assistant panel, is it installing some custom brushes as well?
yes.
Okay.
You get custom brushes and custom presets, and then finally a custom brush preset, tool preset was what I meant to say. So all of those are loaded, and then my panel over here to the right turns them on at the appropriate time in the process. Yes. Like in this particular case, Wes, I'm going to do highlights, add highlight detail. I'm clicking on this one. So now it's changed, it's compressed the layers down and handed me a new brush with a new brush preset, just like that. And this particular one is designed for people who know what they're doing. This brush is like a bleaching brush, Wes, in that you can go back in and put highlights back in eyes. But let me see if I can do, so I can add accents back into the image within areas like bleach, and add these areas in, or or erase areas that I want to add an accent to in this particular case. As you can see here, I can do an undo on any of those if they don't look quite right, but Tim Shelburne typically adds a highlight accent to scrape away or to bleach the tones of the watercolor that you put down earlier. And I think if I were as much of an artist as Tim Shelburne, I would know what to do with that. But I did use it when I did a watercolor portrait of myself to bring back in that little highlight in the eye, or to accent an area of the nose or the lips within the portrait, because sometimes this process can take some of the highlights and diminish and drop them down a little bit too low for the process. And then down here, the finishing touch in this one particular project, Wes, we just click on finishing touch, and this is going to go through and add a high pass sharpen. It flattens the whole process, and then as you can see, it's now really sharpened up my watercolor strokes, flattened the whole process, but you have this high pass sharpen layer here at the top. I can turn this off and on. Let me zoom in for a second so you can see this. That's too far. And keep on reminding me, I drifted away from the microphone again there. Kid Russ. So here's the soft version before, and then here's the high pass. I just give it a little bit of a high pass sharpen automatically for you, but I left that as a separate layer so you could go back in and turn that on and off in this process. You know what I'm going to do, Wes, because I want to show them, I want to move on and show them the oil painting as well. I think I'm going to restart my Photoshop. I don't think that's not going to have any problems with our transmission, is it, Wes?
Not at all.
No. Let's see. So this is watercolor. It compresses it in the end. Start with a simple project. Don't start with a Lincoln portrait. And here's, you can, the trick to this is to not think too much about painting. Just think about being back in kindergarten again and just sort of scribble and paint and leave areas that are unpainted. I think the first mistake people make is that they think they should run a wash across the whole painting. And in this case, you can see I'm just focusing my clicks of my mouse in the areas that I want to set down as sort of a base color. And this brush and the Wacom tablet combination, I don't know, if I were watching myself right now, I would be applauding myself, because even this color pattern that I'm picking up is so beautiful and looks like watercolor in this process. Okay, now I'm getting so excited about my own presentation. And you'll notice if you start to analyze the secrets here in the pattern here at the top, even though I told you not to touch this over here, check this out. There's 2 layers of patterns working to make this look like a watercolor painting. One patterned filled layer is set to overlay, and the second pattern is set to multiply. It's an amazing little secret. If you put those 2 patterns together in one folder and set to pass through, and then it passes over your painting, it gives you this amazing quality, as if the water